Hello everyone, it's Terry from Umezushi. Today we are going to look at a very different aspect of sushi cooking. We have been debating if we should talk about this. It is that important. I think it would be irresponsible if we don't. The information we're going to talk about today, when I learned about it, it actually made me feel more confident as a sushi chef. It's challenging, but here we go. So the aspect of sushi cooking we're going to talk about today is parasite. And it's a specific parasite called anisakis. This is one of the most common and also damaging and parasites that we come across in sushi cooking. There are a lot of them, but anisakis is one that we have to deal with on a daily basis. So the plan for today is we are going to look at where anisakis come from, what happens if we ingest them, how do we identify them, how do we prevent or how do we treat them, what fish we see them in a not exhaustive list, but you'll see some example of it. Where anisakis come from is complicated. It has a complicated life cycle. You can research, you can look into it in much more details, but I'll just give a brief description. Firstly, the eggs of these anisakis gets released from marine mammals through their feces or excrement. Then these eggs will then hatch into larvae in the sea. Then you will have krill or other crustaceans eat them. These krill become infected. And when other fish, for example, mackerel, sea bass, or squid, or anything else that eats these krills, they then become the host of the anisakis. And the cycle completes when these fish, seafood, gets eaten by another marine mammals, like whales or dolphins, sometimes could be seabirds. Then the life cycle completes. If it's eaten by seabirds, then they sort of die. But if it's eaten by other marine mammals, that becomes the sort of breeding ground for these anisakis. And then that continues the cycle. Well, it's not going to be very pleasant. And there are a lot of symptoms. Firstly, the symptoms will start developing within few hours after you ingesting it. The whole symptom could last around 2 weeks, and there would be like severe stomach ache and headache and diarrhea, vomit. Some people might even develop anaphylactic shock. This is something we really want to understand and be very careful with. Usually, these anisakis reside within the gut, the liver of these animals. And they don't tend to travel to the muscles. What happens is when the fish dies, the temperature starts rising, and these anisakis, they detect that temperature rising in the stomach. That triggers them start migrating to a cooler area of the fish, which is in the muscles. So if during transport and during the whole catching process, we keep the temperature low, then the anisakis, they wouldn't detect that temperature change, therefore they wouldn't migrate to the muscle of the fish. You end up with a much safer fish. That's also why during summers, the anisakis problem is a lot more prominent than in winter. Ideally, we don't want to consume that. Even though cooking the fish, you can kill the anisakis, but these parasites, they do release chemicals, they do change the compounds around these muscles of the fish. When we ingest them, it could still cause upset, even when they are dead. So ideally, we should really discard them rather than eating them. But on the occasions you didn't notice, you cook it, it is okay. It's a rare occasion that people react to dead anisakis. And also the amount of chemicals released, it's just a small trace amount. And there are some practices sushi chefs do to help reducing this risk. For example, you see squid often really finely scored or really finely chopped and sliced. Part of the reason is to reduce the risk of this parasite. Once these parasites are cut, they are dead. So they will cause minimal amount of damage or minimal amount of harm to people. Therefore, by scoring the fish or the seafood very finely, you do reduce that risk. In the UK or Europe in general, there are also regulations about freezing your seafood and fish, and that is one of the most effective way to kill this parasite safely. And there are a lot of regulations you can read up. We will attach a link at the bottom so to give the precise information. Many countries will have their own regulations, but freezing under certain temperature for X amount of time, it's pretty much the formula. Mackerels is one of the most infected fish that we have come across. And from my experiment, it's been about 100% mackerels that we got are infected with anisakis. If you're out dining and you see restaurants serving pickled mackerels in any shape or form, double check if it's been frozen or how long that has been, because that could be a potential health risk. This is one test I do with local fishmongers. If I go, I will go and buy a few mackerels from them, ungut it, come back, fillet it, and to see whether the anisakis are contained within the gut area or has it already migrated to the muscle. If they have, that tells me the transport process from the time fish being caught until the point I fillet them had not been well managed. So I'll be extra cautious in the future if I buy fish from these places. It really depends on where you find them. So if they are still inside the gut, usually you can see them on the surface of liver, and they tend to be curled up like a little spiral. And so sometimes when you fillet the fish and you see like a lot of spirals on the liver area, those will be anisakis. They are white or kind of creamy white, and they are about 0.2, 0.3 millimeters in diameter. The length, it's around 1.5 to 2 centimeters long. But you only see them expanded when they start migrating. Right, now you know what anisakis look like, and you know where to find them, and you know the risk, also how you can prevent and treat them. I hope you find the videos today useful. And if you want to know more about how we treat our fish, or if you don't want to know and just want to get the fish treated, you can get them through the link here on our website. Thank you. Leave your comments below.